Why do my colors look so off? Why is my color grade always trash? I'm just gonna use LUTs. Color grading sucks. These might have been some things you might have told yourself while editing. Well, I'm gonna show you guys one tool that'll fix all these problems. The color checker. Let's get into it. What's up guys, Dex Brule is back with another video. Like I said, one video a week. I'm sorry I haven't been able to do any cool collabs with anyone because I am stuck indoors. Still, my new system is compromised. But enough about me. Today, the video is about the color checker. This thing right here will guarantee that you can get perfect colors, perfect color saturation, perfect skin tones, perfect white balance, and perfect contrast when shooting with pretty much any footage. Now, I do recommend your footage can be degraded if it's not shot on 8-bit footage, for example. If you shoot 10-bit, it'll be a lot higher quality and a lot more range of colors. If you shoot log, your color grading will be better. There's all these small things you can do, but this will make sure that your colors are as good as possible with the footage that you have. It's also very useful for color matching. So if you have different scenes, different shots, you know, for a music video, for example, and you want them all to look pretty similar, then you can use this for color matching those different scenes because you're able to get all the shots to a simple base, and then you're able to apply creative color grade, I like to call it, or a LUT, whatever you're gonna do. Now, these things can be a little expensive. I have right here the Color Checker Passport, so it's a smaller version, easily fits in your pocket for when you're on outdoor shoots, but there is a bigger version of this color checker. You can check the links in below, I have them there. If you're just looking to fix your white balance, you can get a gray card, which is a lot cheaper, but I do recommend getting a color checker if you're gonna be going into more professional films because it'll make sure your color grading is super easy. You can do it yourself and you don't have to outsource to a colorist. So let me talk to you how we use these in our shots. Then we're gonna hop in the computer, Adobe Premiere Pro, but this can also work in DaVinci Resolve. I actually don't even know the name of the program. It works perfectly the same in that you just have to use the tools that you have. So starting off right here, we have a gray card and we have a focus checker. So this right here is for when you're using focus peaking. You know, there'll be those green little lines. It has a nice star formation, so it's easily able to check if you're in focus. Not all cameras have them, so if your camera has them, you probably know what I'm talking about. Check your settings, see focus peaking. Right here, this is a gray card. So this is a perfectly gray card, scientifically proven, and this will make sure that your white balance is perfect. When you are taking the shot, you're gonna wanna put this right beside your subject. You don't wanna put it too close to the camera, too far back. You wanna put it on the subject because that's really what people are gonna be looking at. That's what you wanna make sure is perfectly color graded. So I'm gonna put it right here at my level, and then you just wanna grab focus on it. All you really need is a frame, so it can be literally a split second. Once you're done that, that's perfect. You can move on to the other side which has this. So the top one right here is to make sure your contrast is perfect. When you are color grading, if you look at the Lumetri scopes, there's gonna be a scale from 0 to 100. I like to call this the brightness scale. People call it IRE, something like that. And you want the black one to be around 0. So these are your blacks, so you wanna make sure these are crushed just at 0. Anything past 0, you're gonna be clipping your blacks. Same with the whites, you want them at 100. If you're gonna put them higher than 100, then you're gonna be clipping your whites. And finally, this is the gray area. This is called your midtones. Midtones are gonna be around 33. So they're actually gonna be a little darker than you would expect. Now, over here, we have different shades of black here. These are pretty much if you wanna get a lot more intricate with contrast. Not 100% sure the values for all these, so you're gonna have to go to another video if you wanna learn about that. So this brown one here, this is your skin tone bar. This is perfect to make sure your skin tones are perfect. It's gonna be a line I'm gonna show you, and you're gonna wanna make sure that all the hues of these different skin tones here are gonna be on that line. Then here, this is your color checker. This is to make sure that all these colors are correctly represented in your image. You're gonna be making sure that the saturation is perfect and the hue of all these colors is perfect. That's gonna be pretty much what you're gonna wanna do. Again, you're just gonna wanna put this right beside where your subject is. And you wanna make sure no light is reflecting off these things because then this could mess up the glossy black. So you see right here, if I tilt it, it's kind of showing a little, and that's not black right there, that's a green, right? It's perfectly in line with the camera, no reflections. And make sure you're not covering anything. So that's pretty much it. You're gonna do that before every new scene, I would say. I don't have to do this every 5 minutes or something like that because I'm not gonna be moving and all that stuff. So pretty much every new scene. So we're gonna hop into the computer right now and I'm gonna show you guys how we can use all this information. Okay, so we are here in the computer. We have imported our footage. We have pretty much the 2 shots, the one of the white balance checker and the one with the other checker. Remember to shoot it and put it right beside your face. I also pulled out the Lumetri Scopes tab, which is something you're gonna want to be able to check all these colors. And then on the right here, I have the Lumetri Color tab because this is where you do your color grading in Premiere Pro. We're gonna start with this one. Of course, the one at the bottom that looks like a the Saw movie or something like that. That's for focus peaking. That's for catching your focus. So that's all gonna be done in camera, so we can completely discard this one, but we can look at the top one here. And we're gonna grab the opacity, and we're gonna just want to bang, bang, a bang, a bang, a bang. We're gonna wanna select that card, but what you can do now is you can come down here. And the one right now we have is the waveform RGB. As you can see, we got a couple different colors here. We have a blue, we have a green, if you can see that. We have a mix of the blue and green, which makes a cyan, I believe, and then the red. You wanna get these so it is all white. It is all on top of each other. So you come here and you go to this one, you can see it's moving them around. You see making them stretch. If I go this way, so pretty much what you're gonna wanna do is just play with this, the temperature sliders, what you can do. Try to get them even. I'm gonna show you another way you can do this, which is really simple. You can kind of just white balance select right there, and they should all line up. It doesn't have to be perfect, 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 perfect. You can try to make it perfect, 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 but it is pretty hard to get it the exact same. I will say that the Lumetri Scopes is a really glitchy tab. I always have it disappearing and things like that. But there you go, white balance selected. It is perfect. So now if we come back here, and we're gonna come and we can just delete this mask, delete the mask. We are perfectly white balanced. You see, I got a little bit more red. It seemed like the balance card was a little bit blue. Okay, so what we want to do for this one here is we're going to be touching with the contrast level. Okay, so what we're going to want to do the same thing again. We're just going to want to select it. Now you want to make sure as best you can your fingers are not covering it and that the light is even on it. Right there, I should have held it with my other hand. There was a little bit of shadow, but we're just going to move on with that. The top one, we're going to want to bring it up as close as we can to 100. So in between 190, I think is good. Never over 100, that means you're clipping. Blacks 10 to 0. Blacks are gonna be the top one. That's the dark one. And the middle one's a little gray, call it the midtones. That's gonna be this line right here. We're gonna want that around 30 to 40. Now you can see this line right here. That's gonna be those black lines in between because it's not a complete black, but it is really close to blacks. Those you don't have to worry about. If you have a bigger card, you can actually individually select all these so you can make this job a lot easier. So we're gonna go here and we're gonna come to the RGB curves. Not gonna be touching the color, we're just gonna be touching the scopes. Now we're gonna look here, we're gonna need to get our darks darker. Bang, okay, so we're gonna bring that down and there you go, we're in between 0 and 10. Now for the whites, we're just gonna wanna bring those up, 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 up. There you go. Now you can see we have these lines happening. We don't really want that. There you go, there's a pretty good thing. We got what? Our midtones perfect around 33. If we wanna add a little bit of extra correction, we can come here, we can bring those whites up just a tad and bring those blacks down. Another way you can change the levels is you can come into the color wheels and match. Then you have your shadows, your highlights, and your midtones. And then all you have to do is pretty much select that bar. So I usually never start with the midtones. I usually start with the shadows. Bring that bad boy down. Bring those highlights up. And then those midtones right there. And as you can see, our highlights are a tad low, so we can actually just bring those up a bit. So there you go. So there's actually a couple different ways you can play with this contrast slider. There you go. Pretty contrasty, pretty punchy. Looks pretty good in my opinion. So we're gonna move on to the final one, which is right here. We're gonna come here and we're just gonna zoom her in. Our focus looks pretty good. Our finger was a little cutting off that yellow. We're gonna start with the colors because that's usually what you want to do. You want to do the midtones last because that's what you want perfect. We're just gonna come here. We're gonna grab a selector. Okay, bang. So that should be good. Now we're gonna be changing all the way over to the vector scope. This is what you got here. As you can see, we're splitting out into all different directions. We have our reds, which are pointing towards the red. We have our magenta, etc., etc., etc. Close the RGB curves, open the hue and saturation curves. This is where you can select different hues, change their saturation, select different hues, change their hue, and select different hues, change their luma. If you don't know what a hue is pretty much a different color. We wanna make sure to start is that these are all pointing in the right direction. So we wanna make sure our magenta is pointing right towards the square here. Our red's pointing, our yellow, our green, our cyan, our blue. A couple are off, the blue is a little bit off, the green's a little bit off. So we're gonna come into the hue and the hue. What I like to do is come to these lines, and as you can see, the lighter lines are pretty much lined up with all these different colors, okay? Now we can change the hue of these. So let's say the red one, is the red one pointing? No, we're gonna want to bring it down a tad. Is the magenta pointing? Yep. The blue one is a little bit off, the dark blue. blue one, I like to call it. Now the cyan's pointing, the green's off, the yellow is a tad off. So let's change the green, and the green fixed the yellow. So everything is pointing as best as I can really do it. Now we can change the saturation. What you want is from the 0 point to the square, you want this line to be half that length. So again, I'm just gonna pop all my points on here. As you can see, it says hue versus saturation. And then now I can come here. The red one is a little long, so we're gonna drop the red one. Magenta looks good. Blue is a little bit long, so we're just gonna drop the saturation of the blue. Cyan, again, a little bit long. That looks good. Green's way too long. And the yellow looks about right. I'm just gonna change the greens. That looks like a perfectly balanced color wheel. And then there you go. Let's see the before and after of that. That's the one right here. So now we just changed our colors, looking a little better. Finally, we're gonna wanna play with them skin tones. We're gonna be using the exact same color chart. Again, the last one, select the skin tone block. As you can see here, all you're gonna see is a little bit of dot, and there is a line that is pretty much almost lined up with. That is the skin tone line, and we want to make sure that is lined up with that. So what we can do here is come to an effect, fast color corrector. That's what it's called. That's what I like to use. And we're gonna come to the hue angle, and this is pretty much where you can rotate that whole star we had. So if it is all of them are a little off, it's like a global rotation. But what you can do here is if you just add some hue angle, it'll rotate your skin tones until they are perfect. As you can see, they are perfectly on the line. They call that the skin tone line. And when it's like that, it's perfect. So pretty much that's all we had to do. And there you go. All those skin tones should be as good as they can be. As you can see there, I am a little red. So sometimes I find it does put me a little red. I'm not 100% sure why. So you can drop that. There you go. That looks about good. 8%. Now you can see that is a perfectly graded footage. So that is pretty much how you use a color checker. Super good tool. I love it myself. Question of the day for you guys is, have you ever heard of this? Have you ever heard of a gray card color checker? If this is something new, comment below. Let me know if this video was helpful for you. If you're gonna be investing in a color checker, description below, that's where you can grab one. Or you can just go on Amazon, search color checker. That was pretty much the video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe, got new videos coming out every single week. Hit that notification bell if you wanna be notified every time I drop a new video. Without further ado, creators, keep creating. Peace.